When a leader chooses silence, the people guess. But when he chooses words, the world remembers forever. Today, Captain Ibrahim Traoré left behind a letter that has shattered the hearts of millions across Burkina Faso and beyond. The news spread like wildfire across Ouagadougou. Radio stations stopped their music, television anchors fought back tears, social media trembled with one headline: Captain Ibrahim Traoré bids farewell to Burkina. The streets went silent, even in the bustling markets. Mothers clutched their children tightly. Old men shook their heads in disbelief. Young boys in dusty football fields stopped their games. Something heavy hung in the air. The reason? A single letter. A letter written in Captain Traoré's own hand. A letter dripping with love, sacrifice, and sorrow. A letter that broke millions of hearts. Soldiers carried copies to government offices. Journalists rushed to print every word. Farmers listened to readings in their villages. Students whispered about it in classrooms. Every Burkinabe wanted to know why. At the very top of the page, he had written, "My beloved Burkina, this is not goodbye. It is only farewell." And instantly, tears rolled down faces. He spoke of his journey, from a boy who once ran barefoot in the dust, to the man who carried the weight of a nation. He reminded them of his promise, to defend their land with his last breath, to keep hope alive where others brought despair, to make the hungry eat and the fearful rise. Yet, his letter carried a storm. "I am stepping down," he wrote, "not because I am defeated, but because my country must live, even if I cannot lead." The people gasped. Was this betrayal? Was this weakness? No, his words explained it all. He spoke of enemies within, of betrayal in shadows, of poison not in a cup, but in whispers. He said the struggle for Burkina's soul was bigger than one man. He warned of vultures circling, eager to tear the land apart. And then he softened. "To my soldiers," he wrote, "never forget why we wear this uniform, not for glory, not for power, but for the child in the village who deserves tomorrow." The army wept as they read it. Young officers saluted in silence. Veterans placed hands on their hearts. To the mothers, he wrote, "I have heard your cries in the night. I have seen your empty plates. I have watched your children grow thin. Forgive me for not being enough." Women held the letter to their chests. Some fainted. Some sang dirges. Others whispered prayers for him. To the children, he wrote, "You are the true generals of this land. One day when you stand tall, promise me you will not forget your roots. Promise me you will not sell your country for silver." Boys cried quietly. Girls clutched their school books tighter. To his enemies, he wrote, "You may silence my voice, but you cannot kill an idea. You may steal my throne, but you cannot own Burkina." His words shook palaces across Africa. Leaders felt uneasy. The world listened. He ended with a line that carved into souls. "If I am gone tomorrow, remember me not as a leader, but as your son who loved you till his last breath." The streets of Ouagadougou filled with wails. Crowds gathered at Independence Square. Men held up torn copies of the letter. Women beat drums of mourning. Youth painted his words on walls. Even those who doubted him before wept now. "He was our heart," one old man cried, "and today that heart is broken." Rumors spread. Was he leaving in exile? Was he forced out by betrayal? Was this the end of Burkina's hope? His letter gave no answers, only questions and pain, yet also fire. "Rise, Burkina," he had written. "If my feet cannot march, let yours march. If my voice is silenced, let yours shout. If my hands are tied, let yours build." The people repeated these lines like holy verses. In mosques, imams recited them after prayers. In churches, pastors read them as scripture. In schools, teachers made children memorize them. The letter became more than paper. It became a movement, a vow, a burden, and a torch. He left us a map, a young soldier said. Now we must walk it. Foreign journalists arrived to capture the moment, but no camera could capture the pain. No microphone could hold the sobs of a nation. Mothers lifted his photo to the sky. Children drew his face in the sand. Youth chanted, "Traoré never dies." But in quiet corners, fear lingered. Would chaos follow? Would enemies strike now? Would Burkina bleed again? Yet his words gave courage. Do not fear my absence. Fear only forgetting who you are. In that moment, the Burkinabe swore an oath to never forget, to never surrender, to never betray the sacrifice. Some say he left secretly that night. Some say he remains hidden, watching. Others whisper he is already gone. But his letter lives in hearts, in walls, in songs, in dreams. The world saw a farewell. But Burkina saw a seed watered with tears, a seed planted in fire, a seed that will grow into freedom. Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the people cry, you are not gone, you are here. His letter closed with these final words, I may not lead you tomorrow, but tomorrow belongs to you, and that is the greatest victory. Silence followed, then thunderous cries. The nation shook, from north to south, from east to west, a wave of grief, a wave of pride, a wave of unbreakable unity. He left us broken, some said. No, others replied. He left us stronger. A young boy lifted his chin. If Captain cannot lead, I will one day. His voice trembled, but his eyes burned. That is how the letter worked. It broke hearts, but it also built warriors. The markets returned to life, but slower. The radio played songs of mourning. The TV replayed his speeches. Every Burkinabe lived inside his words. Even across Africa, tears flowed. Mali wept. Niger wept. Ghana bowed its head. Because Traoré was not just Burkina's captain, he was Africa's son. And his farewell was theirs too. Some say history remembers kings, others say history remembers warriors. But Burkina knows history remembers those who love their people, and Ibrahim Traoré loved deeply, enough to give his youth, enough to give his peace, enough to give his farewell. His letter still lies framed in the National Archives. Children visit it as they would a shrine. Elders bow before it. Scholars debate its meaning. But the people, they feel it in their bones. They carry it in their breath. They dream it in their sleep. Because it was not just ink, not just paper, not just goodbye. It was blood turned into words. It was love turned into a map. It was sacrifice turned into fire. And though the man may be gone, the fire remains, the map remains, the love remains, and so does Captain Ibrahim Traoré in every Burkinabe heart. The night after the letter was read, the city did not sleep. Candles burned on windowsills across Ouagadougou. Drums echoed in the distance, soft and sorrowful. Youth formed circles, reciting his words aloud. It was not mourning alone. It was rebirth. We are the children of his farewell, one young woman said, her voice carried in the wind. People nodded in silence. They understood. This was a passing of the torch, a new dawn hidden within the darkness. Farmers rose before sunrise and looked at their fields. For him, they whispered as they began to plow. Teachers stood before blackboards and wrote his lines. Students repeated them with pride. His spirit had entered every home. In villages where fear once reigned, hope returned. Captain may be gone, they said, but his courage stays with us. They painted his name on walls of mud and stone. They swore to defend it with their blood. Even in exile or in silence, his voice grew louder. It was no longer one man's mission. It was a nation's destiny. It was Africa's heartbeat. It was freedom refusing to die. Elders gathered under the baobab tree. "He has joined the ancestors," one declared. "But ancestors never leave us." They poured libations to the earth. They called his spirit to guide them. Children played a new game in dusty streets. They called it Captain and the People. One child stood tall and gave speeches. The others cheered and followed. Even in play, his legacy breathed. Musicians wrote ballads in his name. Poets filled notebooks with his words. Painters captured his face in bright colors. His letter became art, prayer, and revolution. No farewell had ever burned so deeply. Across borders, whispers grew. If Burkina can rise without its captain, then Africa too can rise without its chains. His farewell had crossed rivers, deserts, and oceans. It had become a call. And though time will pass, though generations will change, they will still tell the story of the captain who left with a letter and gave his people eternity.